Advisor, Academic Outreach of Cyber Law University. He is the coordinator of Center Against Cyberbullying. Mr. Sakshar has been working on cutting-edge area pertaining to cyberbullying in particular and cybercrime in general. Mr. Sakshar has given numerous talks on the various schools in India on how children and teenagers can protect themselves. He is also authored book entitled Cyber Crimes During COVID-19 and Legal Issues in India. Today, Mr. Sakshar will address on the topic Safeguarding Indian Digital Ecosystem. Now, I am welcoming Mr. Sakshar to take the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well in these tough times. So before starting, just let me check, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Crystal clear, sir.
Great. So, sir, can you share the PPT?
It will take 2-3 more minutes. So till that, you can just begin with your talk, sir.
Sure, sir. So today I'll just give you all a brief. Today we will be discussing about the major ecosystem that has developed in the cyberspace, which includes a lot of different things. We all know some basic things such as the IT laws and the cyber laws that have been there from 2000 in the Indian legal system. But apart from that, a lot of major new developments have taken place, especially in the last 5 years. When we talk about things like artificial intelligence or blockchain or AI, that is the artificial intelligence pertaining to robots, and especially the new upcoming topic that is the metaverse. So a lot of new things are there. And let me tell you very clearly, this is not a buzz. For example, metaverse is not just something that will just come and go. It's actually a big topic, and it will definitely be a reality. In fact, a lot of big companies such as Google and Facebook, which we know as Meta today, are actually working and spending billions of dollars on these projects. Like Google is today, we are on MS Teams. Google is actually planning to take it on the next level of the metaverse, that is introducing a sort of MS Teams concept on the metaverse, which will help a lot of corporates to actually have different meetings. Because at the end of the day, for example, like here, we are on the MS Teams. We are not, we can interact with each other, but it's not personal in nature since we are interacting through a device. But through metaverse, when what Google is planning to do and what Microsoft is planning to do, we can actually go in the metaverse and we can interact personally, which will engage the human experience as well as the experience of the meetings. So what I'm trying to say is that today we will be covering different types of topics as well as some data privacy issues that must be included and that must be discussed in the present ecosystem. Prashantji, just let me know when you're ready with the PPT.
It's visible now.
Yes, sir. Great. So as I said, the topic is safeguarding Indian digital ecosystem. Next slide, please. So this presentation had to be given by Dr. Duggal. He will be definitely joining us in some time. So he's the Advocate Supreme Court of India, Chairman International Commission on Cyber Law Security Law, President cyberlaws.net. And for me, I think Prashantji has given a very warm introduction. So thank you for that. Next slide, please. Now, before starting the topic, I must give you what I call as the teasers of the subject. I'll just introduce you with some few news highlights. So here we can see that the INB orders blocking of 35 YouTube channels for anti-India content. Well, these channels with more than 100 crore views were all based in Pakistan. Military officials said that they were involved in spreading anti-Indian fake news. So you can see the rampant exchange of these kind of videos that have been there outside the borders of India, which are anti-Indian in nature. Next slide, please. So these are some other news bits. As we can see, over so over 1.1 million accounts were compromised in cyber attacks at 17 well-known firms. Technology giant Olympus, we all know Olympus as the company which manufactures cameras. So technology giant Olympus hit by black matter ransomware. Panasonic, the term Panasonic, we are all familiar with that company. So Panasonic confirms cyber attacks, information about its business partners, technology, access during intrusion. Accenture hit by ransomware attack, latest victim of cyber pandemic. Memorial Health System was attacked by a big cyber attack. Next slide, please. %74% SMBs suffered a cyber attack in the last 1 year, which is a huge number. IMF, 10 countries simulate cyber attacks on global financial system. Cyber attacks on the rise across Australia with one attack every 8 minutes. Can you imagine? In a small, in a country like Australia where there is not a lot of population, still they are witnessing cyber attacks in every 8 minutes. Next slide, please. So earlier as we discussed, these were a few instances that I wanted you all to know, because this is what we are living in today's world. This is what is happening. As like we read, Australia suffering a ransomware attack in every 8 minutes, which is a huge number. So you can just imagine what can happen in a country like India or a country like US. So data is the foundation of data economy. Data, the new fuel of the new age. Well, what do you mean by data? Just a simple question. Data can be anything, whether it's your name, age, height, your medical records, or something more important, which I can say is that your financial records. So data is everything today. Any big corporate, if you would ask any big corporate today, they would say data is the new king, because for them, data actually helps them to formulate their company's progress properly. For example, I'll give you an example how data is so important. How do you think today Amazon? We all know Amazon is a big company. So how do you think that today Amazon has an edge over others? Why is it on the top? Definitely, leaving aside its functions and its future projects that it's working on. Apart from that, the biggest edge that Amazon today has is the data. It has the data of each and every individual who comes on his or her platform, whether it's what kind of movies do they watch on Amazon Prime, or what kind of things do they buy on Amazon, that is their shopping portal. So different data actually helps them to track the individual's choices and preferences, and they actually pitch in the favorable choices accordingly. So data is very, very important for these corporates as well as for individuals too. Next slide, please. So digitalization and data economy with some legal perspectives. Whether we are engaging with persons or business associates, whether we are expressing our thoughts on social media, whether we are buying things online, or whether we are relying on electronic governance services of different governments, we are all ultimately into the data business. So as I said, data is the new king, and whatever you're doing, especially on the social media platform as well as on the internet, you are leaving your footprints, and these footprints can be called as the digital dust. So the basic meaning of this digital dust is that you're just leaving your traces behind for these corporates to actually analyze your data as well as to keep them securely, so that they can just analyze those data and they can actually know your preferences and choices. Next slide, please. So now moving forward, we have a tendency, this slide clearly shows the psychology of human nature. So in this, it said that we have the tendency to publish, transmit, and forward all kind of data online. No wonder with the advent of internet, we have been transformed into the capacity of being global authors, global transmitters, and global broadcasters of data. Well, for this, I'll give you a short example. We all have used Facebook, right? Some of us even use it today. Some of us don't. But one thing is very much common. If you are traveling, apart from these COVID times, when we talk about pre-COVID times, if we are traveling somewhere, anywhere out of Delhi, then we used to post it on Facebook. We used to let know everyone that, for example, today, if I'm traveling to Thailand, then I would be going to Thailand and I'll be logging in my Facebook as soon as I reach Thailand, and I'll be marking the location. So this would help everyone to know that, okay, I'm in Thailand, I'm enjoying. So what does this mean? This clearly means what it has been mentioned in this line, that we have the tendency to publish, transmit, and forward all kind of data online. That's a trace that we are leaving behind. So this is a part of what I can say a human tendency when we talk about the behavior in the online world. Next slide, please. So the speed with which data has assumed central role in our day-to-day life is indeed amazing. No wonder, with so much of reliance on the data, the world is churning out humongous volumes of data on a per day basis. Well, this is a huge number. When the internet started, this data was actually taken on a yearly basis. Then it came to a month basis. Now it's on a daily basis. So you can easily see how much of data is actually being transmitted and used throughout the world. Next slide, please. Sir, I think someone's mic is on.
I will mute him. You please carry on, sir.
Yeah, so coming forward now, these are some, I can say, statistics or figures which you guys actually should know, because as we can read here, we sent 16 million texts, 156 million emails are sent, 15,000 GIFs are sent via Facebook Messenger. There are about 130 million spam emails sent. There are 154200 calls on Skype. Well, any guesses? This number, like, it pertains to what? A week, a month, a year? No, it actually, these figures are actually from a daily basis. So this clearly means that on daily basis throughout the world, there are about 16 million texts that are exchanged, 156 million emails are sent, 15,000 GIFs are sent via Facebook Messenger. There are about 130 million spam emails sent. And there are 154,200 calls on Skype every day. So you can just imagine the amount of time and data the data we consume and we actually spread on the internet, as well as the time we consume on the internet. Next slide, please. So yeah. In fact, 90% of the entire world data has been generated over the last couple of years. Well, that's true. With the internet becoming an ubiquitous element of our day-to-day lives, and with now Internet of Things being increasingly adopted, where connected smart devices are generating lots of data, we can actually perceive data all around us. So a simple example for this is, we all know what we call as a Fitbit watch, or what we know as the Siri on our phone. We all have a Siri, right? Especially on the iPhones. We have fun while we're talking to Siri. For example, if I just have to listen to some music, I'll not type it. I'll tell Siri to search that music for me. So it actually is fascinating for us, but at the same time, we should realize that every coin has two sides. The other side of this is that we are actually transmitting a lot of data. Siri is recording your data, which is going to the database of the respective company. So you have to be careful of that. Next slide, please. No wonder data-driven economy or data economy is one term that one is increasingly hearing with each passing day. Data that is constantly being generated is also contributing to the evolution of a huge economic order at international, region, and national levels. Next slide, please. Well, now we will talk about the emerging trends. Cyberspace during COVID-19 times and post-COVID-19 era is likely to emerge with different countries and manifestations. See, one thing is very much clear with all of us, irrespective of whether you belong to the IT industry or not. We all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has actually helped the IT industry to move forward. It has uplifted this industry in different ways, because at the end of the day, when the pandemic hit, we all had to rely on technology. We all have to, when we were working from homes, we had to rely on the internet, on the search engines that we have. So it was very much clear that IT got a big boom after the COVID-19 times. And because of that, a lot of new trends have emerged during, especially in the last 2 years. Next slide, please. Well, this slide clearly shows that we are in the new normal now. Before COVID-19, no one had thought that, okay, like we had Skype before COVID-19 too, and that was usually Skype was used when we had to talk. For example, if I'm in India and if I have to talk to someone in the US, so I used Skype. But no one knew that this would be such a new normal, that we will just be on our phones or on our devices on different platforms such as Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and whatnot, and just interacting with each other. But now that's the new reality. That's the new normal for us. Earlier, when the pandemic started, it was difficult for us to actually adapt to this kind of a setup. But now it is a new normal. Everything is normal for us. If, for example, today we know that we have a meeting on Zoom, a meeting on Google Meet, it's not different. We all know the basic protocols of Zoom and Google Meet now, because we have adapted to this new normal. Next slide, please. Well, as I said, there is an increasing reliance on video conferencing. This can be easily understood by this statement, which is that the video conferencing market size to reach about $9.95 billion by 2028. Remote working policies adopted due to the COVID-19 times are likely to act as the key driver. So this statement is given by the Grand View Research Inc. And this is quite, it's not shocking, but it's amazing to see how we are actually reliant on the video conferencing setup. Even if tomorrow COVID-19 goes, I'm definitely sure that since we are so much adapted to this video conferencing setup, that it will not go anywhere. It will coexist with the physical meetings, since video conferencing has actually made our jobs simple. Next slide, please. Work from home. Well, this term was as I said, it was a new term for us in March 2020. But now it's not a new term. A lot of companies now have come up with different policies as to they will be actually bringing work from home culture, irrespective of COVID-19 is there or not. Because actually, a lot of studies have found out that work from home has helped a lot of individuals in their productivity. They are more productive while working from home. Next slide, please. So now the question is, are we heading towards a new cyber world order post COVID-19? Well, a lot of us know the answers, a lot of us don't. But one thing is very much clear, then that after COVID-19, there will be a new world order. In this slide, we will just talk about how it will impact the cyberspace. But overall, we know that a lot of things have changed post COVID-19. Next slide, please. Now, these are a few countries from in the ascending order where rapid increase in the state powers have been there. So basically, these countries are actually working on the data laws, and they are building cyber resilience in their country. Now, what do you mean by cyber resilience? In simple terms, what I actually mean by the term cyber resilience is that any person, for example, when we talk about United States, so for them, cyber resilience means that their state should be equipped enough to tackle any cyber issues that they would be facing in the future. So as we can see these countries: United States, China, Singapore, South Korea, Israel, Poland, France, United Kingdom, Hungary, Australia, and India. Next slide, please. Now, the golden age of cybercrime is here. What do you mean by golden age of cybercrime? Well, cyber crimes are now at that, I can say, at the topmost level when we talk about, especially for the last 20 years, when especially the internet has come up more throughout the world. So the advent of COVID-19 has ushered the world into the golden age of cybercrime. Well, in this snippet, you can easily see that this is a mention of an episode, A Switch in Time by Money 9, where it easily says that how they were discussing different cyber law aspects and different scams and how to protect themselves with Dr. Duggal. Next slide, please. Now, cybersecurity need for adoption as a culture. Well, I completely agree with this statement, because when we talk about cybersecurity, a lot of us, in layman terms, a lot of us are clueless. We think that it's quite technical. We don't know, or we can just hire a person who is expert in this field, and he or she can help us, whether it's in our daily work or in some corporate. But for me, I think at least the basics should be known by everyone. When I talk about cybersecurity of a need for adoption as a culture, I mean we should start on the ground level, especially when we talk about schools. Fortunately, a lot of schools have actually, and colleges have brought up a lot of different programs on cybersecurity and cyber resilience that is helping their students to understand different aspects of this area. And if not advanced, at least I feel that everyone should know the basics of cybersecurity, because at the end of the day, we all are spending a lot of time online, and we should know the basic do's and don'ts of it. Next slide, please. So no international cybersecurity law. Well, this is a major concern in today's world. Well, honestly speaking, before COVID-19, we all knew cyber is an important area. It is growing, it's emerging, but we never thought that, okay, it will grow at a rampant speed in a year or in a year or two. But with COVID-19, this has happened. It has actually boomed. The IT industry has boomed in a lot of ways, whether I can see in the positive aspects, but also in the negative aspects. The negative aspects, as we know, a lot of ransomware attacks have taken place throughout the world. So therefore, I feel that a proper international cybersecurity law is very much important for all the countries to abide to it. No international cybersecurity law is in place right now. Different countries have come up with their own respective national laws on cybersecurity. That's good. But apart from that, I feel a single law should be there so that every country can abide to it. Next slide, please. So these are a few countries that have actually come up with their national cybersecurity laws. Talking about, so it's China, Russia, Vietnam, Thailand, Australia, Singapore, Egypt, New York, Germany, Zimbabwe, California, and Taiwan. Well, these are the countries that have actually taken this area, and they have given a serious thought on it, and they have come up with different cybersecurity national laws, because they know that this is the need of the hour. They should have a law in place so that, irrespective of whether a cybersecurity breach takes place in their country or not, they should be ready for the future. Next slide, please. Well, artificial intelligence, friend or foe. This is a very interesting topic. We all have seen different movies, whether it's Matrix, or when we talk about India, we have all seen Rajnikant's movie Robot. So what is that? What is a robot? It's basically, you can say, a machine that has its own brain, which we call as the artificial intelligence. It is the intelligence of the machines. So the question is whether artificial intelligence is friend or foe. Well, I give you the example of the movie Robot, because in that movie also we can clearly see that artificial intelligence, if it is misused, it can actually turn out to be a big disaster for humankind. But at the same time, if it is properly used, it is a friend for you. It actually makes work easy. Next slide, please. But today, when we talk about artificial intelligence, we are definitely in the early stages of artificial intelligence. But at the same time, I feel that when we are at the path of making new breakthroughs in this artificial intelligence field, the basic concept should be very much clear. That we have to, Hello, I'm audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sorry, there was some connectivity issue. Yeah. So when we are at the path of artificial intelligence, we should be very much clear from the beginning that what do we want from this technology? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be the slaves of artificial intelligence. We want the artificial intelligence setup to work for us, to work for the humankind. So therefore, we should be very much clear in our approach as to where are we heading. Next slide, please. Now, this slide talks about the big data issue. The big data is today a new concept as well as a very primary concept when we talk about concepts like data privacy or data breach, because big data involves all sorts of data of different companies, different countries, and whatnot. So it's a very important topic in when I talk about the concept of data. Next slide, please. Cloud computing. Well, if we talk about when we were in 2000, you can say 2005 or 2006, cloud computing was a new concept in India. But today, I think everyone, especially those who are working in corporates, they are well versed with this term. Since cloud computing now, every other corporate is moving to the cloud because it's convenient. That's true. And it actually is quite productive when we talk about the numbers of different corporates. When I interact with different corporates, a lot of them have actually praised this cloud computing setup, that it helps them to articulate different data as well as store the data properly. So cloud computing is not a new concept, but at the same time, different developments are being made in this area. So we have to keep a close look at it. Next slide, please. Well, blockchain and cyber law. Blockchain is not a new term, but especially because of cryptos, it has become famous. Every now and then we hear about cryptos, and with cryptos, blockchain technology comes. But let me tell you, blockchain technology, it's because of the blockchain technology that crypto exists. It's not the other way around. It's not that crypto is there, therefore the blockchain technology is present. In fact, blockchain technology is a lot of countries as well as different IT corporates are looking for the future, because blockchain at the end of the day, it's a decentralized system, which is actually helpful for different corporates, different nations, for privacy issues, for dealing with privacy issues, as well as for dealing with these cyber crimes such as hacking or ransomware attacks. Next slide, please. Well, now comes a big question. Do we need to regulate cryptocurrencies? Well, cryptocurrencies, we all know. What is a crypto? A basic, it's actually a point of argument for a lot of people. Some say it's an asset. Some say it's a currency. Well, I'm not on any side. I'm just asking you a question whether crypto should be regulated or not. Personally, my answer is yes. Why? Because at the end of the day, if it's an asset, I consider it as an asset. But even if a lot of people who are actually arguing that it will be a currency in the future, whatever it is, whether it's an asset or a currency, it has to be regulated. At the end of the day, for example, if in the physical world also, you can see there are different assets. Currency, we all know it's regulated by the organizations such as the RBI. But when we talk about assets, for example, gold or real estate property, these assets are also regulated by the law. Because if they will not be regulated, then different illegal activities will take place in that manner. So whether we talk about any cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, Matic, or whatnot, cryptocurrency should be regulated. And the states, see, at the end of the day, you have to understand that states are not conservative in this nature, that they don't want to stop this crypto boom that has come. They just wanted a proper regulation for this so that both sides can win, the public as well as the state. The public can win that, okay, crypto is existing, but the state can also win that, okay, it's existing, but under the legal parameters of the state. Next slide, please. Internet of Things, as I explained earlier, Internet of Things, we are actually surrounded with a lot of devices that which I call the devices that have internet. So Internet of Things, as I gave example of Fitbit watch or the mobile devices that we have, different devices are now being connected to the internet, and that is called what we call today as the Internet of Things, and it is becoming a normal part in our daily lives. Next slide, please. Facial recognition and privacy. Well, facial recognition is not a old concept, but as I said, with every IT concept, whether it's old or new breakthroughs are taking place each and every month. So as we can see here, facial recognition, now algorithms can see through face masks. Well, this is a new one. Face masks are a new normal for COVID-19 times. So this area also thought that they should make a breakthrough in this manner, which is that now face can be recognized with the masks too, which is, I feel, a new breakthrough. Next slide, please. Well, quantum computing, when we talk about the actual quantum computing topic, it's quite technical, but at the same time, I feel it's on a verge of a big boom in this industry. As we can see that can quantum computers help us respond to the coronavirus? Well, this is a big question, and the respective researchers are actually working on this, and I'm hoping that they can get to a specific solution which can actually help the humankind to fight against COVID-19. Next slide, please. Well, metaverse. This is my favorite topic because of two things. One, definitely it's a new topic and it's quite interesting for everyone, irrespective of whatever the profession is. Because earlier, you see, there have been different topics such as blockchain or cyber laws or ransomware attacks, cybersecurity. All of these are interesting in nature, but they more or less they pertain to the IT field. But metaverse is actually that concept which actually includes a lot of different people from different professions, different backgrounds, because at the end of the day, metaverse is common for humankind. So metaverse, full digital avatar of humans. We have all played different games on the computer, right? Whether on computer or PlayStation, a lot of us have played different games such as Call of Duty or what I call the GTA San Andreas, or different games we have played, and we have just imagined ourselves that, okay, we wish that if someday we could enter this world and we could actually play. Well, the good news is that metaverse is actually making this true. I'm not saying that this will be true tomorrow, but definitely in the upcoming, I can say 3 to 5 years, we can see metaverse becoming the part of what I call new normal. Because at the end of the day, what is a metaverse? Metaverse in simple terms is a different online world. When we play a game today, we are actually playing that game through a device. So there is no personal connectivity. But just imagine, for example, if today you are playing a racing game or a PlayStation. So what are you doing? You have a console in your hand and you're just playing a game. But in metaverse, you will actually be in the car and you will be driving that car as if you are actually present on that racetrack. So just imagine that. A lot of good things are there. Like we can also see different companies, especially big tech companies such as Facebook and Google, that are actually investing billions of dollars on this project. As you can see, Facebook earmarks 50 million investments to build metaverse responsibly. So you can easily say that if these big giants are actually investing so much money, then there should be a big potential in this concept. Next slide, please. Darknet. Well, this is what I call a major topic on this regard, because at the end of the day, darknet is that anonymous net that we don't know about. If we talk about any person today about internet, he or she would say Google. Google is the internet. Well, yes, Google is a part of the internet, but it's not 100% of all. As you can see in this diagram, it's a picture of an iceberg. So on top, But the iceberg which we can see is the surface web. So you can say Google comes in this ambit, what we can actually see on the internet. Then comes the deep web, which is non-indexed and non-searchable content is present there. And then when we go deeper, we get the dark web, which is, we can see it's about almost 50%. All the content accessible via specific softwares and hardwares is visible. So all the illegal activities actually take place on the darknet because anonymity is there. And we can easily say that what a criminal only wants anonymity. If he can get an anonymity, then what's better than that? The next slide, please. So digitalization and data economy with some legal perspectives. Data protection becomes very important in this regard. As we have talked about in the previous slides, data protection is the actual, we can say, the actual place where we have to concentrate on, because data is the new king, and for that, we need some laws and regulations to protect it. However, data protection legislation is often of delicate balance between protection of individual rights and those of state security. Next slide, please. So individual rights with respect to data are given primacy. However, in the event of conflict between individual rights and state security, the parameters of state security assume more significance and have superseding effects. This assumes more significance given the more increase in cybersecurity breaches. Next slide, please. So increasing cybersecurity breaches, as you can see in this diagram, the growth of ransomware damages and worldwide cost. In 2015, it was about 325 million US dollars that it was this amount that was the cost of ransomware attacks. But now when we talk about 2021, it's about $20 billion. So you can just see the growth, the graph which is there. And this clearly shows that there has been a rampant increase of ransomware attacks throughout the world. Next slide, please. Well, these are the alarming bells that we can say. It is estimated that by the end of 2021, the world is likely to lose more than USD $8 trillion due to cybercrimes. And this figure has actually, I think it's about $15 trillion now. So we can easily say that it's going beyond our expectation. Cybercrime said to cost global economy $6 trillion annually by 2021. As I said, it's beyond our expectation to imagine as to what kind of cyber crimes are taking place and what kind of damages different individuals, corporates, or states have to suffer. Next slide, please. A new type of threat, ransomware. So what is a ransomware attack? We have seen different movies where different organizations have been attacked through internet. I'm sure a lot of us have watched this movie called Die Hard 4. It's a very famous series, and in Die Hard 4, there is a ransomware attack on the state where the whole electricity is out, and it's because of the cyber criminals. So ransomware today, it's got a big boom post COVID-19, and as I mentioned earlier, in every few minutes a corporate gets attacked through a ransomware, or not even a corporate. Different individuals, different institutions come in this ambit too. So ransomware is a blanket term used to describe a class of malware that is used to digitally extort victims into payment for a specific fee. Next slide, please. Ransomware is a type of, when we talk about the literal definition, so ransomware is a type of malware that prevents or limits users from accessing their system, either by locking the system screen or by locking the user's file, unless a ransom is paid. So basically, it's a lock that is put by the cyber criminals, and the key is with them. So if you want to access the key and to retrieve your data back, you have to pay a ransom for that. So in every 11 seconds, a company is being attacked by cyber criminals through ransomware attacks. So you can just imagine the amount of ransomware attacks that are taking place throughout the world. Next slide, please. So each government through its own is trying to examine what the golden balance between individual rights and state security is left for the subjective decision of each government. So at the end of the day, as I said, government has to see in this regard as to what can be the different laws that they can come up, so that they can actually maintain a proper balance between the individual rights as well as the state security in this regard. Next slide, please. Data protection, as I said, it's the critical need of the hour, because at the end of the day, if we are consuming and we are giving a lot of data, a lot of data is being transmitted, then protection laws should be there. If there are no protection laws, then definitely cyber criminals would come and they can actually misuse your data, and that can have big disastrous impacts. Next slide, please. Well, the question is privacy evaporating? Well, we can easily say that today privacy, there is rarity of privacy. There is no privacy. If we talk about if we are on any social media platform or on Google or anywhere or any shopping portal, there is no privacy. Every corporate has they have a specific department to actually analyze different what I called in earlier data dust, your data traces, to actually analyze and to study, to get to know your pattern as to what kind of search you do or what kind of items you generally order. For example, you must have noticed this, that whatever you're searching on Google, you actually get those kind of, for example, if I'm searching for cricket, if I'm searching for cricket on Google, cricket videos or different cricket facts, there are a lot of chances that I would be recommended different cricket videos on YouTube. And this can also go vice versa. How is that possible? Is this coincidence? No. It's because the companies are actually tracking your history, what kind of search you do, and basis of that, the company gives you the respective corporate provides you the data so that you can consume more and more. Next slide, please. GDPR and cyber law. Well, GDPR in earlier times, definitely GDPR had different parameters, but today one big parameter of GDPR is the cyber aspect of it. Because at the end of the day, if your country is facing a lot of ransomware attacks and you have to pay a ransom for them, your GDPR definitely suffers. If the people in the state are not equipped enough with their cyber resilient skills, and they would be facing different ransomware attacks or different attacks from cyber criminals, then definitely the state has to suffer the brunt. Next slide, please. So the next slide visible, because on my screen it's not.
Next slide is already visible, sir.
Prashant ji, you're there?
Yes, I am there, and next slide is also there.
You are on mute.
Shakshaji, there may be some bandwidth issue at your end.
Yes. So new data protection legal framework. Hanji. Yeah, I can see the slide now. Yeah. So the report of the Joint Parliamentary Committee has been tabled in the Parliament on 16 December 2021. The report of the Joint Parliamentary Committee tells the way forward of how this new legislation is going to come up. Well, this legislation is very much important when we talk about the Indian scenario as well as the role of India in the cyberspace. And definitely the Indian government is working towards this area. Next slide, please. Prashantji, I think there is some internet connection issues at your end.
Kindly switch off your camera, sir.
Sure. I can still see the previous slide only.
Internet bandwidth is low at your end, sir. Kindly check.
Just a second. Just a second. I'll just check. Just a second. Hanji, Prashant. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great, great. I'll just switch off my camera on because of the internet. So yeah, as I
We are
said,
actually simultaneously cross-checking onto 2-3 machines with 2-3 different internet connection. So no issue at
okay,
our end, sir. Okay, please go ahead.
sure. So as I said, India's move to cryptocurrency regulation. As we discussed, cryptocurrency regulation is very much important, and India is working in this aspect, and definitely they will be coming up with some regulation laws for the same. As it said, India's crypto bill may reportedly restrict exchange to exchange transfers and even launch its own crypto wallet. And I feel this is very much important. Next slide, please. Hence, individuals who are affected by breaches of their data are left often without effective remedies. Some aspects of data protection covered are under the IT, that is the Information Technology Act 2000. Next slide, please. So as we all know, Dr. Duggal has written a lot of different books in this regard, whether it's cyber law in today's aspects or different cyber law Indian perspectives. In each and every year, there have been different editions from his side and different important insights on this important subject. Next slide, please. The IT Act 2000, India's first cyber law. It was in 2000 that the IT Act came, and it introduced us what we know as the normal concept for today, but they were not very much normal in the early 2000s. That was the concept of e-commerce or cyber law or electronic data interchange, etc. Next slide, please. Well, these are some important sections that you should know in the IT Act 2000, which is section 43, that deals with penalty and compensation for damage to computer systems, etc. Section 65, which says tampering with computer source documents and you'll be criminally liable. And section 66, which says computer related offenses. It actually has a list of different offenses that come under the ambit of computer related offenses. Next slide, please. So unlimited damages by way of compensation. In addition, under section 43A of the Indian Information Technology Act 2000, you can be sued for unlimited damages by way of compensation. Next slide, please. Yeah. So an alarming bell, as we discussed, different ransomware attacks are on the rise, and we have to definitely be safe from them. So intermediaries cannot run away from their liability. With the IT rules 2021, in February 2021, government came with these IT rules where it defined the term intermediaries. And in that term, when we read the term, what do you mean by intermediaries? Then it covers a lot of different corporates from different sectors altogether. So an intermediary in simple terms is basically an entity which is actually dealing with a third-party data. So at the end of the day, if you're dealing with the third-party data, you are liable for actually protecting that data and securing that data properly. So therefore, there is an important concept which we have, that is the legal ambit of intermediaries and what are their role to play in this regard. Next slide, please. Intermediaries intermediaries and due diligence under the IT Act 2000. So intermediaries are required to do due diligence under the terms of the Information Technology Act 2000. This due diligence must be done to ensure compliance with the relevant parameters of the amended Information Technology Act. Next slide. So Shreya Singhal versus Union of India judgment was a major breakthrough judgment in the IT regard. Next slide, please. So liabilities of intermediaries and the Indian cyber law. They could have exposure to legal consequences, both civil and criminal, for the company and its top management. Civil liability damages by way of compensation up to 50 trillion INR per contravention. So you can see the big number, that is 50 trillion INR per contravention. And criminal consequences are the top management could also be exposed to criminal consequences ranging from imprisonment of 3 years to life imprisonment and fine, which is up to 10 lakhs and between the range of 1 lakh to 10 lakh in Indian rupees. Next slide, please. Next slide. Well, so these IT rules, when we talk about, as I said, they cover different corporates, different entities. So this is a list of all the entities that it covers. So it's applicable to whom? It's applicable to telecom service providers, network service providers, internet service providers, web hosting service providers, search engines, online payment sites, online auction sites, online marketplaces, cyber cafes, all significant social intermediaries, all big social media companies, that is Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, Telegram, etc. All publishers of news and current affairs, all publishers of online curated content, all OTT players and platforms, all channels producing news and current affair content. Next slide, please. So all users of social media companies who are forwarding any content on social media, any company which is storing its employees' records on its computer systems or networks, any company who is storing its clients or users' data on its computer systems or computer networks, any company storing financial or medical data of its employees on its computer systems or networks, any company providing email connectivity to its employees, any company providing mobile connectivity to its employees or giving them mobile devices for official purposes, any company providing access to cloud service to its employees, customers, clients, or business associates, any company dealing with third-party data and information in the electronic form, including audio, video, image, or text generated by its employees or clients, customers, users, or business associates. Next slide, please. Next slide. So compliance by tech giants. Tech giants, as we all know, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, these kind of tech giants, they are everywhere throughout the world. And for that, they have to be flexible enough in order to comply with different legal ambits that every country has. So in these kind of, news clips, you can see most social media companies have complied. Twitter still not following rules. We all know the Twitter issue that happened a few months back. Who complies with the intermediary guidelines for social media platform. OTT industry working on compliance with the new IT rules. So as I said, different entities and different corporates have to comply with different legal ambits of different countries where they have to work. So when I talk about Rule 7, which is very much important when we in the IT rules 2021, the Rule 7 says non-observance of rules. Where an intermediary fails to observe these rules, the provisions of subsection 1 of section 79 of the IT Act shall not be applicable to such intermediary, and the intermediary shall be liable for punishment under any law for the time being, in force, including the provisions of the Act and the Indian Penal Code. Next slide. The non-compliance and potential exposures. So the statutory exemption of legal liability granted to the intermediary shall stand evaporated. The intermediary and its top management can be booked for civil and criminal liability under the Indian cyber law. The intermediary and its top management will also be booked for their non-compliance and commission of various offences under the Indian Penal Code 1860 as well. Next slide. The concept of state security is indeed very nebulous one and can be extended to any length by the government. So it depends upon the convenience as well as the need of the government to actually bind these rules and formulate them in such regard. Need for courts to come up with appropriate parameters to determine the limits to state security. Next slide, please. India is currently facing a huge historical legislative vacuum. There is no cybersecurity or data security law in India, which is a major point of concern. India also does not have data protection law. Though the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019 is currently pending before the Joint Parliamentary Committee of the Indian Parliament. But still, I feel the Indian government is working on it and they have to come up with new solutions quickly because the IT field is just moving forward at a massive speed. So jurisprudence on this issue is constantly evolving. India does not need to reinvent the wheel. It just has to come up with a few flexible laws on this regard so that they can cater to the needs of cyberspace as well as the entities in the state. However, India needs to learn from other experiences at the global level and incorporate them into the Indian context by coming up with customized approaches in this regard. So a very old example in this regard is that we all know that the Constitution of India was made with the reference of different constitutions of the world, whether it was US, Australia, Canada. Therefore, in this regard also, I feel the Indian government can actually look around them, how different countries have actually come up with different cybersecurity laws, what kind of rules they have come up with. And they can actually refer to those rules and they can come up with different rules depending on the Indian context. So there is a need for enhancing and increasing the capacity building amongst the stakeholders in the digital and mobile ecosystem while they are doing activities in the cyberspace on the internet. Next slide, please. So welcome to Cyber Law University. Well, I just want to give you a short introduction. So Cyber Law University is an online education platform which actually caters to different cyber aspects. Here, we provide different cyber courses, irrespective of whatever profession it is. These cyber courses deal with different topics such as data privacy, data breach, blockchain, artificial intelligence, darknet. And these courses have actually been formulated seeing the need as well as the flexibility of individuals. For example, if you're not from an IT field, still also there are a lot of courses that you can take just to increase your awareness as to how you can actually work and you can actually live in this cyberspace smartly. Sir, can you go to the previous slide? So we have different international certificate courses at Cyber Law University, and the most important part, these courses have been formulated by none other than Dr. Duggal himself. Under his guidance, these courses have been formulated. So all the latest aspects, all the important aspects that you need to know in your profession and in your personal life, you can get all of this in these courses. There are different courses, whether it's an undergraduate program, postgraduate program. We have some short courses as well. So, and on different topics, and the best part, these are at reasonable, seeing the demand as well as the need in the Indian audience. We actually decided to keep the rates quite reasonable and flexible, depending upon the need. Next slide, please. So just to give you a small brief, so courses offered by Cyber Law University as of now have been done by more than 27,000 students from 174 countries, speaking 53 languages. Course entitled Cybersecurity Law has been adjudged as the best course out of 10 best courses by Douglas Hollis, one of the renowned US organizations. The Tech Republic of USA has adjudged the course entitled Cyber Law, Cybercrime, and Cybersecurity in the Coronavirus Age as one of the best 16 courses in the world. Pawan Duggal Associates has a major role to play in helping companies ensure compliances with the Indian cyber law and rules thereunder. Pawan Duggal Associates has been working for the past 2 decades now, And now, especially with the coming of the IT rules, we are more intricately working in helping different corporates comply with these IT rules so that the corporates can be safe. We also assist different intermediaries to ensure documented due diligence under the Information Technology Act 2000. In the end, I would just like to say, Ordin Law Cyber Law today represents important, fascinating aspects of our lives. Compliance of critical necessity to protect yourself, your company, your organization, your assets, your reputation. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Saksharji. Session is open for the question answer. So if any participant have any queries, they may ask to our expert. Please raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Any participant, please. Dr. Ramkarnji Yadav, they want to ask something. Please unmute yourself, sir. Dr. Ramkarnji, please.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Ramkarnji. Boliye.
Sir, actually, do you think there is a policy vacuum for dedicated laws on cyber security for data protection and dedicated law for privacy in India? Because a lot of law has been told by you, but still, do you think still we in India we have vacuum for policy making?
Yes. Yes, sir, that's a very good question. And definitely we have a big vacuum. As I mentioned in one of my slides, that we don't have a proper data protection law. We don't have a proper data privacy law. Though we have the bill that is pending by the court, but pending by the parliament. But at the same time, as I said, as we all know that the IT space, especially the cybersecurity space, is moving at a rampant speed. So therefore, a law has to come up. They have to come up with a proper law as soon as possible, so that we as citizens also can comply to those laws and we can adapt to it properly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other participant? So if there is no more query, then I would like to invite Mr. Sunil Sharma from GPC Jhalawad to kindly conclude the session. Sunil Sharma ji, please.
Prashant ji, I am audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sunil Sharma from GPC Jhalawad. First of all, I would like to thank the whole organizing team for this wonderful course. And as we know, this is the mighty needed one at present times. So, concluding this session, I would like to first thank Mr. Sakshar for giving us the knowledge and the different aspects related to the cyber laws and current scenario. प्रशांत जी, मैं वीडियो बंद कर दूं, कुछ इशू आ रहा है इसका बैंडविड्थ का?
Yeah, no issue, please.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Sakshar covered and discussed various aspects related to the digital ecosystem. As we all know that how fast the technology is changing, or we can say updating nowadays. So sir has beautifully covered almost all the aspects of technology in such a short span of time. He discussed previous work, or we can say the historical terminologies and technologies which have come through in the development of current technologies. Like he has discussed the increasing cyber attacks, different legal perspectives about economy and digitization. He gave us a very beautiful term, digital dust, which is our data footprints actually. he told and discussed how the cyber crimes are increasing nowadays and what is the need of current date to focus on the privacy of data or securing the private data of individual and the companies or firms which are working. He discussed and told how post-COVID scenario has changed and we are all bound to use the technological aspects of different fields. In these fields, even education, medical, हर एक फील्ड में जैसा सर ने कहा कि हर एक फील्ड में टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ गया है. तो सो द privacy or security of data, individual data, as sir told that data is king nowadays. So how to protect, how individual is responsible, how companies or firms which are providing technological solutions are responsible, and how the laws are making them responsible for the security or privacy of data. Sir told how the government is trying in India to build a cyber law system in which few IT acts he discussed and told us what are the different laws which are present in our country, and how the government is trying to make more secure or effective laws to bound the firms or technical things to make under the laws. So in last, I would like to thank Mr. Sakshar for giving his time and sharing his knowledge with all the participants. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू सो मच सुनील शर्मा जी. बहुत ही शानदार सेशन लिया सर आपने, साक्षर सर ने. रियली इट वाज ए यूजफुल सेशन. पवन सर अभी मेरे हिसाब से आज तो नहीं आ पाए हैं. इज इट पॉसिबल टू कनेक्ट विद देम?
No, sir, I just had a word with him. So he's just stuck up in a court matter. But definitely he will be taking tomorrow's session. That's for sure. And thank you
Okay.
so much, Prashant ji, for such a warm welcome, as well as it was a fantastic session. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Okay, so I'm taking your thank you, but it is due for the Mamta Chaudhary ma'am. He taken your the introduction part. Now I would like to say all the participants that we are about to start today's examination. So you have to finish your today's sessions questions within 15 minutes. So link is started now. It's okay. It's working now. So please attend the questions and give the answers in the timely manner.